Hey Lou, we do have one question, and Mary asked, how important are lawyers to the due diligence process?
Well, lawyers can certainly help. Lawyers that particularly are going to do the title search, you want to look at the title search that they do. You want to look at the title that they generate. One thing that we do as well is we get the HUD-1 closing statement at least 24 hours in advance of the closing, because we want to actually look at the numbers that they've calculated. We want to make sure that things that we had built into the contract that the other party, the seller, was supposed to pay are actually on the seller side of the transaction. And I will tell you, in the flurry of getting a closing done, let me say it differently, almost always there are mistakes. So when you go into it, and make that part of your due diligence list as well, that you're going to check that closing statement carefully. You're going to make sure that all the numbers are calculated correctly and that they have not made a mistake on any of the items, maybe that are in special stipulations of your contract, or maybe that were in your contract. Because, for example, my purchase and sale agreement says that the seller will pay all closing costs, to include recording fees, intangibles tax, credit report, funding fee, loan origination fee, document preparation fee, all these different things that typically happen inside of a closing. Well, my contract originates with the buyer will pay those things, or the seller will pay those things, depending on what hat I'm wearing that day. And of course, that's completely negotiable. And when they don't negotiate that, that's another bonus, that's another benefit, that's another profit center to your deal. And so sure enough, sometimes the closing agents miss that. They're so used to closing transactions in a certain way, they just kind of go with that flow, sort of like a record has a groove already cut in that record. They just kind of go with that same groove. And then you're going, now, wait a minute, hold on. We negotiated something different because of the condition of the property, the location of the property, the time frame of the closing. There's many component parts to a deal. And so as a result of that, that can cause certain things to be paid for by the other party. And yes, those attorneys, those closing agents can absolutely make those mistakes. So you always want to check their work and make sure that they do their work. But they're a necessary evil to some degree in a closing, because we do rely upon them to get to title search. Now, again, when they do the title search, they are often the ones selling the title insurance. And I say selling because they're actually representing several different title insurance companies, and many attorneys and title companies write for a number of different agencies. So that means that they are taking the frontline sales job of selling that title insurance. And when they submit that to the title insurance company, they might come back with exceptions. And like I was saying before, got to make sure that they haven't just slipped you a Mickey, so to speak, and given you some exceptions that would not be palatable to you. Tell you a quick story. I had a house that we had purchased. We got a good deal on it in a very hot area of town. It was going to be perfect. And what some investor, I suppose, had done is they had taken an old ranch style house and built on this huge structure on the front of it. And their plan was to kind of marry the old house with the new house. And they had built this framework, and it was going to be great. And when we got the property, we said, okay, that's going to work out terrific. And we'll go ahead and complete the build out of that, and all of it. It'd be good. Well, when I looked at the title insurance, they, sure enough, in there, they said, except for any setbacks that may be required by county code. And I went, what's that? And they said, well, nothing to worry about, you know. And I said, yeah, I know exactly what's going to happen. I said, I'm going to put in $120,000, $200,000 worth of repairs, whatever it was. And I said, then I'm going to go sell the house. And what's going to happen is they're going to do a title search, and they're going to say, hey, you didn't have the right setbacks on this approved by the county. And all of a sudden, I'm going to get stuck with that property. I'm not going to be able to sell it. I said, no way. I said, you guys deal with this setback issue. I want a title policy that does not have an exception to it in terms of setback. Well, sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Is they took 8 months. They had to file a variance with the county. They had to wait for that to come up on the county's calendar, and so many different things that were delaying that process. And in the meantime, when they finally did get that done, we closed and purchased the transaction. So just imagine that you went forward not even knowing that that was an exception in the policy. So sometimes those attorneys will get you on the other side. Now, another thing I advise is control the closing. Always close at your attorney or title company's office. Don't allow it to be closed someplace that don't know you. And when you can build those relationships, then they will look out for you, and it's less likely that they will slip you a Mickey and give you some risk in the deal that could have been avoided. So lots of advice today. Yay.